Hello, welcome to Down with Dragons here on Monsters of Roll. I am DM Scott, and with me, as always,
Mick, usually playing Oliver the Worm, gnome relic hunter.
Chris playing Viet, normally playing, yeah.
And I am Catherine, tonight taking over as Dice Overlord for a Down with Dragons discussion.
yeah.
So much has happened this season, this arc, whatever we want to call it. So much has happened. We thought that we would take a little bit of time and just pick each other's brains, because every once in a while that's super, super fun. So we have questions for each other. We have questions from Scald. Thank you very much for sending some of those in. And I am just ready to get started. I'm ready.
And anybody who actually joins us in the live chat, send your questions in. We'll be watching for them, and we will put those far above any question we have.
Oh yeah. Any questions that Scott has, we'll just put them right at the top of that list.
We'll just put mine to the bottom. I'm used to it.
It's fine. I actually do want to start off with a question for DM Scott.
You just insulted me. We can't go there right away.
I gotta put you in the right mood first.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever been frustrated, delighted, surprised, any of those emotions or everything in between by a decision that the party did or didn't make? Something that you expected. Something that you really expected us to take the bait on, and we did or we didn't.
Yes.
Is there one that really stands out to you as a moment where we could have made a different choice?
Every week.
Come on.
Okay. All right. I'll think. I would say probably the biggest one, if I had to pick one, was probably the encounter with Zazozan, because obviously there was the kind of lore, not even lore, but just the backstory. We're figuring out that, he's a dragon. He's he's serious. He's a thing. And how amazingly it went that violence was ultimately chosen despite an ancient being being like, all right, just stop. I'm going to talk to you. And it's like, no. And then other things happen. And it's like, no, seriously, just listen to me. And then someone's biting his boot. And it's like, all right, I'm starting to get annoyed. This is how things going to happen. All of that, was probably I was expecting that was enough of a kind of this is a big moment that will wrap some things together. They're clearly just gonna talk and deal with him. And it was 100% no.
You underestimated us.
And amazing things happen still.
Or over?
There was still really cool things that came out of it. But when I originally kind of everything was kind of funneled into that happening, there's clearly only one choice of how this works. I mean, obviously we're not at the end of the season. This is the one of the big no, there's no way they're gonna no, this is the direction we'll go. Okay, rewrite, and it was still good because we've gotten so much more from the dealing with the trauma of not feeling backed up by Viet and the trauma of Juniper fighting for Viet and the group, but in a different way, and Maven dealing with a dragon when she's very much been on pro kill dragon, and then Oliver just dealing with PTSD of you're dead, you're alive, you're dead, you're alive, you're dead, you're alive.
Viet's dead.
Yeah.
No, Viet's alive.
Yeah, he's. I just think of that TikTok with that dog where it's I'm dead, I'm alive, I'm asleep.
That's interesting that you bring that up because I remember being so frustrated that night. That fight was just so like real life me was frustrated, and
I think everybody was a little.
yes, but I love when that happens because that just it sort of like cements with me that this like story that we're playing and we're having fun with, like it's a living breathing thing where we're living it kind of and so like to actually
yeah
roadblocks exist and in life, and this was a huge one, and everybody sort of played their characters to a T. Like Viet obviously like, oh yeah, but it all sort of came together in a way that you're right was unexpected. I don't know. I despite feeling so frustrated, I loved it very much. What did you guys think of that?
You know, Zazazan may have in his mind that he just wanted to talk, but that was not what he was manifesting at that moment. You know, it's just no. That's. I think we were reading the room just fine.
Juniper has pretty high insight.
Yeah, I think we had like terrible rolls for that.
I think we were pretty bad. Chris, what like how was that for you? Like you were playing Viet like exactly as I expected Viet to react.
Yep.
So like how did you find a way to sort of reconcile that in the moment of like knowing?
Right. I was trying hard to right. He's threatening to kill or put down one of the team members. And so, right. So I was trying to find all sorts of things around that, including the chewing on the boot. I was stalling as best I could. And it just, like Viet, it just like, that was the train that he was on, and to play the character, that's where I ended up. So I was personally frustrated. But I did try to, I was stalling as long as I could, trying to find some way to avoid that train wreck. And then made the decision, and right, that was where Viet was going to most likely die. And so,
and I would like to say that is one of, in my opinion, that was definitely one of those defining moments that we've had several where, like, I'll be the first to say I have to get reminded that you forget sometimes that we're playing on here, not just at our table, and you can't just like, I'm just doing what my character feels right and all that, where you're also trying to make something entertaining. And where I know, Chris, you did the absolute best you could in that situation of like, I'm trying to do something worthwhile, but also I don't see a way around this. And and we had some definite talks after that of like, help me, help you, you know?
How do we do this? Yeah. It was, that was such a good moment. That was a good one. I kind of want to round robin this actually. So Scott, why don't you ask a question to somebody else, and then that person will ask a question, and we'll just kind of
go around. So my question then will go more recent. Mick.
Yes.
Just for the fact if it's happened more recently, and I would like to ask both you and Oliver, because we've kind of talked about it behind the scenes a little bit, but how much did you enjoy and hate the cool kids party and the hazing of the Dedoy?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Oliver is like 210 years old, maybe. I don't know. He's never dealt with anything like that. That was
that's not gnomish culture.
No.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
It's not even human. It's teenage.
Yeah. And he was just, taken down to the bone, emotions wise. Like, what? You don't like me? You don't find me cool? What did I do? How how? What's going on? You know, and there's no reason for it because they're just teenagers going crazy on it.
I have to say, Mick, it almost felt like you were speechless. And I don't know if that was like actually you or if that was like, were you just playing that really well?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it was necessary for me to be like, what the heck am I supposed to do here? And be absolutely stuck to be like, yeah, this is a mess. Oliver is not going to deal with it well. So I just, yeah, he's just going to break down. He's going to be the victim of the mean girls. He's just going to.
I'll be honest, I really took a lot of joy in the fact that I thought I truly made Mick for a second not have a just snappy comeback where I honestly was like, oh my God, did I get Mick to stutter?
Achievement unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you turn that into something fun, funny, whatever. But yes, you did. Good for you, Scott.
Dadoy.
Yes, and so Oliver, I don't think he's going to try to forget about this, and even afterwards when we went back, he's trying to understand it in a way that's positive, and then that made it really easy for him to like. After the initial trying to just like, I want to be the mean girl and drag what Christian was the name, dragged him on. He's like, oh, there's something underneath this. Maybe I should be more understanding, and even if I can't do anything about it, it's not my problem. I'm not responsible for your violence.
Which I gotta say, I did enjoy. That turnaround and how quick Killian Maven kind of picked up from missing that and just getting that tone and sense, and then how quickly you two became like their champion of just like, you don't have to deal with this, and you're better than this, like I enjoyed watching you two, especially Oliver, who was affected by it. Like, no, I see behind this and you're not this person, you could be better,
Yeah.
All I run through my head is, damn it, Jim, I'm an archaeologist, not an anthropologist.
Oh, that's
Perfect.
Great.
I love it.
This should have been the episode title.
2020 hindsight.
Yeah,
We
Viet
should have
and
had
Oliver
one
were the
called
wrong. Oh yeah.
That I think was.
I can go back and rename them. Like, there's nothing stopping
No,
us
no,
other
no.
than
No, that episode was
Advertising.
it was really interesting because we did sort of go at. I know Oliver and June sort of went in there like, we're not going to let them intimidate us. We're gonna be badasses too, and it turned on its head so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back into the Lust Dungeon, I don't even know what you would call that place. And that turned out like 180 degrees different than I thought it was going to. It's funny how I went into the episode with kind of no expectations because I don't. It's really in that sort of situation, like our DM is capable of anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're capable of anything too. But that was not one of the choices that I would have thought was in the Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing this round robin.
Yeah.
I got a question, so I pass it on, or how are we doing?
Yeah.
Right on. Then I will go to Chris. Chris, there was a moment there where I thought, and maybe the rest of us thought, oh no, we're going to lose Viet to this stupid lust dungeon. And on top of that, I think Viet is evolving in some interesting ways. Maybe he's doing some of his, Jungian shadow work, and all the darkness of his past he's more accepting of it, or at least he's compartmentalized it and turned it into useful alter egos, making his memories of maybe Manny and Fenris and all of his other family and friends serve as his other needs. Was there any chance we were going to lose Viet? And what do you think? How would you crystallize where Viet's at right now?
So I was worried that we were going to lose Viet to the greed room because it sure looked like it was getting left behind. And I didn't know if I was getting out of there. So I thought that was where we had to sacrifice somebody, and that I wasn't sure. I was worried that Viet might not come out of there. And then like 2 rooms later, after the Mean Girls room, which I had no clue what to do, like Viet certainly had no clue what to do. But yeah, so I thought about it. That was not the plan going in. But then, right, Scott has mentioned, like he's laying out all these choices, throwing out these little casting to everybody. And that one felt right, that Viet is kind of circling back, right? We're kind of circling back to beginning of Viet, to the beginning of he had no choices, or he had bad choices in prison, cycling around to the mental fog he was in, and right, that mental place that he was in where heaven for him looked like no bad choices, certainly no good choices or bad choices, kind of in that mental landscape of his in that cabin, to really that choice of you can choose to not have choices and everything can be as real as you want it to be, right? That was kind of where right, you all pulled him out of that other spot because it wasn't real. Mm-hmm. So then he's got to play with this. How real is this? And I think a lot of that does play into, right, all those different, that cast of characters that, right, you and Killian pulled together with Manny and Fenris, and right, all the different, and that all of you pulled together with his siblings as we were kind of on that mental brain journey that Silly put us on. Like, he maybe could have made that real. And so just kind of playing with, this is way beyond Viet's pay grade to be considering what's real and what's not real.
Nah.
But so yeah, I think there was a chance that we were going to lose him there. But and right at the end of that episode, I had no idea. I didn't know. Maybe this is where we leave him. But then I had a couple ideas over that week that we were off and came back. I'm like, okay, no, I know where this is going. So
yeah.
But yeah, in terms of his development, yeah, I think all of this is playing out his trauma in ways that he can maybe surface and understand, and kind of right, that exposure therapy, and kind of, not exposure, but kind of that MDM therapy, mm-hmm. whatever it is, where you start talking about it, bringing it out and start talking about it more to lessen it and maybe accept some of these things. And I think, what was it, Scott, a half hour before the show started, you're like, hey, come up with a traumatic story.
Yep.
And then, so that's what I'm like, oh, well, right, we've hinted at it before. Maybe he's killed somebody. This is it, right? He'll mm-hmm. actually admit to having accidentally killed one of his stepbrothers. And that's out there in the world. And then, right, so he's that fratricide. And then, right, just accepting that, yes, he is a killer. He has killed people. He can kill people. Like at the end of, like, we weren't getting anywhere with Lust. Like, you two are clearly locked in this battle. Like, but you know what? I'm a killer. So let's be who we are here. Let's see what the reality is. Mm. And then Scott had to go and put the icing on the cake, where then he killed his new adopted brother. So now he's really messed up.
He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine.
No, he was. Yep. So that's put yet another spin that we'll find out in a couple of weeks on the 21st when we come back. We'll find out where he's at on that now. So
he was like healing a little, and now he's just like completely catatonic again. Like,
sorry, Chris, I don't know if that answered your thing, but
yeah. And then it brings up, I think probably everybody had at some point, like, is this the point where I should sacrifice my character? Scott, you did that. That's okay.
I mean, I was laying out bait. I didn't say who had to bite on
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think every room that Oliver was in is like, is there like a Hail Mary play where Oliver doesn't come back and we can, ace this one? Or
and just to jump in on kind of that thought of like, honestly, and I'm not gonna lie, Chris, some of Viet and his different personalities, as Mick, you mentioned, of like the alter egos of that help, are maybe forming to that help him. Like 7 Deadly Sins is kind of where it started, but Viet's personalities also inform some of that choice too. So every room could have been anyone's room to, do the proverbial fall on a sword. And that was kind of the idea of like, everyone has those demons and those things that you can succumb to, especially if you can justify it to yourself of, well, I'm doing it for the greater good of my friends, but it's still the easy choice. And it doesn't make it wrong, but it also don't make it right either, or selfless. And so it's like, it was on purpose trying to just poke at everyone just a little bit in every single room of like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but like, there's reasons,
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
watch
it's your
it.
turn, Chris.
It is my turn. Let's see. So Scott, you've been asked a question. Mick's been asked a question.
It doesn't have to go in a straight. You can ask whoever you want.
Yeah.
Catherine Juniper.
Okay, I'm going to interpose for just a second.
Go ahead.
If that's okay.
I don't think do zombies eat each other is an actual question.
Oh, okay.
I think Scald is just screwing around with us.
I mean,
Oh,
if they
okay, I mean,
want to.
But if you want to answer that, go for it. In your world,
Yes
Scott,
and
do
no.
zombies eat each other?
Some yes, some no. It really depends on if they're like vegan or if they're, like there's plenty that bite but don't swallow.
Oh, no.
Sorry. Chris, take it away.
On that note, Catherine,
Yes.
so Juniper is quickly growing in power as she's been adapted into this weird dysfunctional family group of ours. What effect do you think that is having on her as a person?
Jeez. If you think she's thought about that.
That's why I'm asking you. What do you think? What effect do you think that's having on her as a person? I know she's busy. She's got shit going on.
She hasn't really had a chance to think about how that affects the rest of things. I think where she's at right now, she's got a lot of willpower, and it kind of took me off guard with this question here. I think she is fast becoming a person who is very different than who she was before she died. And realizing that more and more with every obstacle they overcome, and in her head sort of mentally distancing herself from that life, because she does absolutely feel like she is a completely different person than she was before. She still has like the emotional and the mental baggage of that former life, and I know I absolutely know Scott's going to continue to use that against her, as you should. As you should. I love it.
That's why we fill out the backstories. Yes.
Yeah, that's why you fill out the backstory. That's why you leave holes in there so your DM can just like plug in stuff. It makes it deliciously.
Questionnaire
cool.
was helpful.
Yeah, the what?
The questionnaire was helpful.
Yes. So I think she's going to continue on that trajectory of just sort of being a different person. I think she feels very, in a way, comfortable with it, and with having always felt like there was something more, something different that she should be doing with her life. So I think that's kind of where she's at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good question. I like that. Nick, I'm going to ask you a question now because I had one for Chris, but it's the exact same question that you already asked him. So I'm still mentally preparing for a different question here. Okay. How has the character of Oliver changed from Inception to where he's at now? And then did you ever think that you would be playing him as long as you have, and how has that been?
Okay, so no, I didn't think I'd be playing him as long as I have. But of course, the having fun with D&D, that has been good because I got to figure out, hey, what makes sense for this character, and make it fit. And sometimes we're playing a game, I'm not doing anything that makes sense, and then I have to roll with it, and then I have to explain it later and kind of just make it part of his character anyways. Either way it works.
It all looks like it fits from this side. Just so you know, you're doing a fantastic job.
You just tilted your hand there.
Well, come on. That's the secret of having fun. But it is really, I'm glad I get to play Oliver this long because it is really a cool, few transitions probably even, where he started out and he was just this person who relied so much on knowledge, and facts, stuff you can see, and then we start encountering a lot of difficulty, and facts aren't always so helpful. He doesn't always have like a tool to figure out what everything is or how it works, and he's also like put face to face with the fact that I'm hanging out with a group that's going to potentially go fight the dragon gods. Maybe I should opt up and get a little bit of help. So when the sentry option came in, it was almost as if Oliver had already thought about that. If something comes along, I need to power up here. And that was fun. And then he's still basically Oliver, so he's still got that draw back to what he knows. Knowledge is knowledge. You can't just make everything up, or you can't just blow everything up. You can't just maven everything. As charming as that is. It was the sensible, reasonable thing to do, even though it was absolutely insane for him. And that's still the course he's following, the sensible, reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, and I found that interesting because you had this moment where you sort of made peace with Seb is the god of knowledge, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? I think I'm correct.
Zeph or something?
Zeph.
Yeah, Zeph.
There
Zeb.
it is.
You said Zeb and it was so close. I was like, yeah.
I know. I was sorry. You had this moment where you sort of had this interaction with them and made peace or came to terms with having essentially cast them aside. And I thought for a moment that you were going to actually switch gears and follow that path again, but it doesn't seem like Oliver has changed his trajectory at all. Was there any moment where you were like tempted to go one way or the other and you decided against it for like why did that happen? Where was the decision? Was it because of Oliver or
I think behind the face of behind the facade, the clockwork is moving. There have been some decisions made, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of waiting for other marbles to fall into place, or yeah. So I guess it's really up in the air, is what I'm saying. There are,
He's still juggling.
yeah. I mean, I've probably forked off into a few cool ways to go, but I don't know which is which, and I'll probably go an entirely new, different way.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's that ends up being my answer. I really don't know.
I love it. I love it. All right,
Right.
your turn.
Can I jump in? Because my question's kind
Yeah.
of similar. Mick,
Yeah.
if you're okay, unless you want a breather.
Mhm. Sorry.
So this is kind of right, similar ideas, right? So, right, the archaeologist whose passionate interest in the past has quickly become terribly relevant in a real and dangerous way in the present, and he's met the change with like courage and resilience. And so, I don't know Oliver's backstory. I don't know if you did the 3-page backstory that we did for everybody else. So, where is that coming from?
You only did 3 pages? What?
Is he?
You had 3 pages?
That
Is this
was the
like-
bullet points I received first.
Yeah, it was
And
3
then
pages
I
of
got
bullet
the,
points.
the 4-book series after.
Goodness.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Oliver's? Like, where's this coming from? That like he's rolling with this and he's hanging
Yeah.
out. Like he's been studying a lot of old dead things, and yes, it's dangerous, but this is a very quick, fast acting, and he's making a lot of decisions, like you've been talking about.
Oh,
in the
okay.
moment,
Yeah.
powering up. Like, what prepared him for that, or is it just?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I guess I haven't really put it out there and just touched on it in some points, but yeah, a lot of so Oliver's a relic hunter, and the story I had for him is the reason he got into being a relic hunter is because working for either institutions or the city leaders themselves or something like that, or whatever militias and such. He started out as a scout, a very able scout. Some of that entailed like being a tunnel rat a lot of times. And he was very adept at that. And then that naturally transitioned into, hey, that's a guy you want to send in to, dig in those crevices that we can't really get into to see what's down there when we're looking for relics or
What's the first thing he
intelligence
found?
or traps.
What's the first thing he found that gave him that bug?
It was a coin. I think that coin is gone right now, but it was a coin, and he didn't know the origin of it. And part of his story as we played, I think that's how he made the link with Zeph.
Cool.
Yes. So yeah, it was a coin. It was obviously of a nature, not, not a normal nature. He had not been able to figure it out in his, 100 or so years being a relic hunter, scout, and such. And now it's just kind of clicking with everything that's happening. Which, with all the experience and knowledge he amassed along the way, I think a lot of the things that are happening as we're playing, they'd be kind of like that to him. He's like, oh, this makes me look at this stuff differently, or oh, this makes sense because I saw this earlier. And honestly, we're a little beyond that point, because now we're just I already made the pact with Sentry, and we're just going, forward, bang, 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 and taking care of stuff.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Chris, I have one for you.
Okay.
Again. And this, I got to do this with you, so I'm really interested. How was it gutting that magnificent flying creature? And this one's actually from Scald, but I really want to know too. That was fun for me. I know Viet kind of processed it maybe a little different. What do you think?
Nobody's ever given me an immovable rod before, so thank you, Scott. Right?
And you literally got processed by that.
Right. So that was awesome, but this was yet another time, right? And I asked you all, right? So that was the fun part of it. Was like, hey, everybody, I've got an idea, but it seems like it's really dumb, and everybody's like, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I did it, but this was again another. I thought this was like sniffing that crazy cocaine stuff. I thought this was it. I didn't see how he was coming out of this one, but damn it, I had an immovable rod. Let's do it. And so that was pretty darn awesome. Everybody, I'm sorry, everybody was kind of gearing up, shuttling into like gear, and it looked like we were going to take it out no matter what, but
No,
let's
that
try
was
this.
amazing. That was so fun to be a part of.
Yeah, that was epic.
Always do the dumb thing.
Deboning.
Yeah. That was pretty dang awesome.
I loved afterwards, right? Oliver is doing literally a deep dive into the entrails, trying to learn what this thing is. And yeah,
They're disappearing.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Man.
I know.
Oh man. That was such a good moment though. Good memories.
Memories.
We've got a live question.
Fools.
We've got a live question from Scald. So DM, in this world, do dwarves have 9 lives?
Only if they sing memory under a full moon.
No, dwarves do not have 9 lives in this world, and the only reason I know that is true is for the simple fact of every evidence we have so far of a non-NPC dwarf is they are too pure for this world to not just live one life brightly and brilliantly and then fade away. Because when there's no reason that it should happen, he can persuade a vampire. When there's no reason, like there are roles that happen to Viet that, other than this character is destined to make those moments happen, and it's just reality forming to it. Like I think it's a shooting
really
star
weird.
moment versus a falling star, where it's just like, nope, it's short lived, burn bright, and out.
It's really weird. So I did have a question for you, Scott. I think it's my turn. So that was Scald, but
Sure.
we'll just piggyback on this here. So
Yeah.
it's similar to what Catherine was asking. So in your role as DM, what's something that you're taking away from season 2 that you weren't expecting when we started? I mean, it's been a 2-year season, but
Yeah. Which I've enjoyed the fact that we've definitely had a little bit more time to allow just character development and story and all that stuff happen. I think the biggest, I guess, takeaway so far that I've taken is how much better you all are at telling the story. Because this story was written before the show started. And I had my outline. I knew where kind of the start, the big bad guy's plot, the other bad guy influences, and kind of like all that stuff. And we've hit some of them. But as the story has progressed, just your amazing character developments and interpretations of things consistently, just as I have my, engraved in stone, like, all right, the moment's coming. And then you do one thing where it's like, that's garbage. Like, this is better. And that's the part where I've definitely I've developed more myself as a DM of just, I trust you all to tell me where this is going, even though we have our road signs, we have where this is going, but it was supposed to be a straight shot. Now it's a windy, curvy road with some extra turns. And I trust where it's going because you all know this story better than I planned it.
We don't need roads.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Nice.
Absolutely. No, that's honestly the answer. Where I just learned that my players are better at this storytelling of the story that I originally kind of thought of better than I do.
Thanks.
You're all awesome. It's what it boils down to, and I enjoy it. And behind the scenes, we've all gotten busy. I got kids. My job's changed. I am even more busy, and I've never wanted to stop doing this, even as busy as I've gotten, because you guys make this easy, even though you also make this so hard. And I love the ride. And it's like, I don't want to stop this ride. Give me another ticket. I'll go around again.
Good.
I guess it's my turn. Catherine, what are your thoughts? Because I know this will make you super uncomfortable.
Great. Love it.
What are your thoughts and theories, exposed, bared open, of June's past and now theories and thoughts on the Swiftblade with everything that's happened and who he now has revealed who he is, and tied with that of the Swiftblade sword you still carry?
Yeah.
And the implications with that. Like, what is that relationship from when first gotten, discovered, and now it's been time,
Okay.
and other things have happened with that blade as you're developing in your story too.
Yeah. So it's bold of you to assume again that she's having time to think of these things. No,
I said Catherine. I
yeah.
said Catherine.
So originally, when we sort of introduced the concept, I obviously immediately had my own theories that the Swiftblade had been clearly like someone in my family. I assumed it was my grandfather. And I don't think I was technically wrong, actually.
It was once your grandfather.
Yes. I did not see father as an option. If only because he was kind of more secondary, I suppose, in her mind.
He picked up the mantle to prevent you from it. From beyond the grave.
Yeah. And so having her end up with the sword, and she's been carrying it around even though she doesn't know how to use it, it's kind of funny, actually. She's like, I've been carrying this thing around. It could have been really useful at a lot of points in this journey, from waking up in a tomb and then fighting her way to Dragonlock, only to have to fight her way back out from there. And from that point to this point, she has gained so much, so much more experience in fighting than she ever had. She was not a fighter before. She was just she was an NPC, you guys. She wasn't like, she never considered herself particularly talented in any one area, if not maybe like herbalism, like recognizing those herbs and being able to make the tinctures and stuff like her mother did. But having had that sword and now having sort of this relationship building with it, being able to wield it in a competent manner, and sort of feeling it evolve, she really does feel like it's hers now. Like, this is mine now.
So with the idea of what that means with the blade, would that mean you're almost taking up the mantle of the Swiftblade in a way?
I don't think she thinks she hasn't. I don't think that thought has crossed her mind.
Okay.
Not like, oh, I'm the Swiftblade now, but
kind of making it her own, or
Yeah, it's more of this item. This blade is the swift blade. It's not just one person.
Mhm.
It's more. Yeah, she definitely doesn't consider herself the swift blade or consider herself having taken up that mantle. She's just sort of like, well, and especially since sort of what that stands for her,
Mhm.
because currently in her brain, the swift blade is still her father. Like that is the person who is still called Swiftblade in other company, I guess.
Yeah.
Um so it's almost as if maybe she's putting an end to it. Like that mantle stops here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
If nobody minds, I'm gonna tag one more question, seeing as we're talking about Juniper. Skull did send in another question. What is it like for June taking down death after feeling its cold sting?
Ooh. I am gonna assume, Scald, that you're talking about that moment in the maidens, the trial of the maiden, where we were fighting sort of the embodiment of, oh, and I can't think of the name. The
God of death?
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, the god of death. I cannot think of the name. I've got it in notes somewhere, but I don't have my notes with me because we aren't playing.
Confirmed, yes, that's what he was thinking of.
Okay, perfect. So that, interestingly enough, did not feel the same. Like, to her, it's a different entity entirely, because what she experienced was what death is like under the dragon's rule, and that entity is something so different and so foreign. It didn't feel evil. It didn't feel wrong or perverse or anything like that. It almost, so like in taking down that entity in that moment, it wasn't a moment of like she wasn't happy about it. It wasn't like a moment to celebrate. It was almost sad for her, because this is a member of the pantheon that she's trying to reinstate, to restore, to save, essentially. So it didn't have the same. Now if it had been a dragon, like if it had been the embodiment of like the dragons, then yeah, it would have felt friggin' amazing. Like that would have been so cool. But in that moment there, it was really more kind of a moment of sadness for her. She wasn't super happy about it. Yeah.
Oh,
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've got another question that I thought of for Chris, and I'm super excited about it. Chris.
Okay.
Do you think Viet's connection with the maiden and how that relationship has grown and sort of strengthened, do you think that has helped him in his journey to sort of overcome the trauma? Like, because he seems to have made all that progress, like we were talking about earlier. Do you think it's because of that, or in spite of it? It feels like he has this place of peace within himself now to draw from. Do you think that's? So do you think
I think that little girl holding his hand occasionally is super helpful for him, right?
Hmm.
He lives with so many ghosts, like, but I imagine it for Viet that those moments with the maiden are just a little bit more real. In some way, like both not real, right? Not in this place and time, but also real in some way. So I guess that's how I imagine it went. Like when was staring over the edge in Alan, the latest Fallen City we were in.
Alan Zalonia.
Yeah, Zalonia. Alan Zalonia, right? We were at the point where he's looking over the abyss and just remembering what went so horribly wrong with his own expedition. And you reach out and he's trying to see if the maiden's hand is there. So yeah, I think that helps. He's got somebody there, not necessarily to protect, but he kind of feels protected or seen by her. I think that helps a lot, right? Certainly the rest of the crew has been helpful, right? You all helped pull them out of that mental journey. But you're also very much somewhat strangers a little bit, right? He's He's a dwarf. His family has been around for. At the same time, though, he seems to be adopting people left and right as well.
He sure does.
So, right, there's this, but the maiden seems not family, right? So I think he's willing to share and get some comfort from her in a way that the rest of his new adopted family doesn't, right? You're all kind of like siblings to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can bear your soul to your sibling, but there's always a little bit of tension there. And so I think he does have a little bit of peace there. I think that also kind of played into, right, this latest room, talking to this really good listener. She wasn't family. So this kind of weird therapy session that he ended up in. But yet at the same time, her promise, this can be as real as you want it to be, is not anything that the maiden has ever promised him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, I think you're right. I never thought of that, Catherine, but I think that's a key piece of it. So
Nice. Thank you.
Scald says he's also offering hugs. So, and Scald will be there holding anyone's hand if need be. I'm going to jump in quick. Round robin for everybody. Question from Scald, which I really like. Where's a place you want to visit in game? Catherine, do you want to start from the gasp?
There's so many. Like this map is truly huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, here, I'm going to try to pull up the map.
Pull it up, because
I'm going to tag in, by the way, with a question right after this, because I have a question that was very similar for the whole group.
Ooh,
I gotta find the thing.
I like it. Well, why don't you ask it now, Scott, while Chris is bringing up the map,
Okay,
and then we'll revisit this Scald question.
Round robin. What was everyone's favorite location that was ever described or visited by the group?
Well, it wasn't the desert.
Wait. It was Sandcrest for me, but I don't know if that counts.
It is not the same desert. No.
Right. It is a desert. It's desert-ish, but I think I had so much fun with Sandcrest.
Yeah, that was a good place.
And that also, I would say, answers if we're doing that one, where I would like the main party to have fun in Sandcrest. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so let's zoom in on where Sandcrest is. To the left.
To the left.
Yep,
to
right
the
up
left.
there, right off the road to the desert.
Hey.
So you're right on the edge of the desert, getting into that kind of Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
High plains.
Yeah.
On the way to Hyambo. Okay. I think my favorite location is one that Juniper has not actually been to. It is the Deadwood. And the Deadwood, there's just, with Maven's relationship with its legend just keeps growing with every conjure animals that she does, with every that's the way we do it in the Deadwoods. Like, it just, that the place is so legendary at this point that I don't know if we want to go there actually, because I don't know if it could match this mythical picture that Juniper has in
Juniper's
her
gonna
head.
get there. It's kind of dirty and it smells.
It's like everything's dead. It's not. Like everything's literally dead. But I think the favorite location that I have that has been described is actually, it is in the desert, is that temple to the old pantheon in that desert, the way it kind of grew out of the desert. And it was just it was very, very cool, that whole description. It just really, it captivated me in those moments. And it was very cool to see in my head.
And I am still working on I have a different program, and a learning curve has been part of my slowing down plus, new job and responsibilities. But I have a much more detailed version of this map now with a different program, and it has all of the lore bits that the players in no way know about. But it's going to be pretty cool.
What is that?
Cave of Wonders.
What do you mean?
On that same sort of note, I really enjoy Cypress.
Must have been an accident.
It's not an accident. On that same note, I really do enjoy Cyprus.
Yeah, that was another one that on this
Somewhere around
map.
here, if I
Yeah,
remember
right around there. Yep, you're in the right area.
nice.
That was added to the map that the players don't see. It's probably a little bit north of that trail, but yeah, that is a new location that you all made now part of this map because it didn't have to go that way.
Heck yes.
Scald says, no, I'm noticing no one is saying Dragonlock is a cool location,
Oh yeah.
but my favorite described location is the plains around Mirrorvale with all the mist.
Oh yeah.
All
So
I
that
can
was-
imagine.
Yeah.
I know, right? We toyed around with this when I was starting up Viet, but toyed around with the idea of like a gnomish brigade of what's that ranger type where they drag
Dragoons.
yeah
Gloomstalkers? No.
no the not dragons but the
Dragoons. Are you talking
dragoons yeah
Oh.
whatever that
Drake Warden.
Drake Warden, yes. So
Oh, okay,
I was imagining like this brigade of gnomish Drake Wardens with their periscopes, like just sneaking the hell out around all this mist and never really. So anyway, that'll be a fan book in my, that'll be a Swanky Dangles and the brigade of gnomish Drake Wardens. But so that was my
Nice.
favorite described where I would love to go at some point. Right, this was a throwaway character. It was way at the beginning, but somewhere in these mountains by Beacon is a storm giant
Oh.
who I am just fascinated with where he lives and how he lives, and I just think that'd be cool. So,
Heck yes.
Scott,
Scott, yeah, I was gonna say, Scott, you're not immune from
It's your
this.
world.
You gotta share too.
What part am I answering right now? Sorry, I got distracted by your answers. Am I answering the where we've been or where we're going, where we could go?
Yes.
What's your favorite location that we've been, and one that you would like us to go to?
Okay. My favorite location that we've been, because it was so brief, but I had so much there because originally it had the potential of being so much more, is the future of this world and the floating city of Obsidian, or this floating island of Obsidian. Just knowing kind of as we kind of in a summary way knew this continent from the first season and into this season of like what it roughly was, which was a rich landscape and all that stuff, and just the complete shift and change. Like I struggled with making that literally like an arc 3, like season 3 type thing of just the future, days of future past kind of thing.
Nice.
And not to say that couldn't ever happen, but the future is like got some crazy things, and just the brief kind of touching on it we did, and the island and all of that happened there was like, it was not enough for me. And so that's one place I'd love to go back to and re-look at, and that's one of my favorite places. For the future, or where a place I'd love to spend more time exploring, I guess zoom out a little bit.
zoom on the right screen.
Kind.
I can't zoom on the yeah.
It'd be if you go down towards Terrain. Okay, and then zoom in and just go to the south of the mountains of Terrain. It's not on this map, unfortunately, because this was the original. Nope, you're too far, way too far. Yeah, just the forest. The forest. That forest, it's not on this map because this was the original player's map that I had sent out. That forest is called the Frozen Spears. And there is some really cool lore that I'll be honest, I probably got a little self-involved in writing that lore that because it just entertained me of the things that were there and that I kind of segregated there, where it's like I'd love to go there because I could probably do a campaign just in those woods. So that would be an area I would love to spend some time in, because if just imagine, I mean, it's a large area of woods, but it is one of the areas as well that is attached to the Feywilds, or the Feywild, and directly because I like to think of the Fey Wild as attached to like the old writings of the High She, and so that would be a direct tie to the Winter Courts and all of the Fey influence of fairy into this world, into this place that, because of the cold, because of the danger, it's like the frozen version of the Deadwood, except with way more fairy influence.
Nice.
That does sound really cool.
Yeah. And so it's like, and a lot of influence came from like those beginning parts of like Winter, of like The Witch, the Lion, and the Wardrobe, like things like that, of like, oh, there were a lot of, so like it very much I entertained myself of like, and then I could write this, and then these could be there, and then oh my god, I could do this.
Scald is jumping in. His favorite of any of the in the world is the Goat Inns.
As they
and all of the Goat Inns.
Yes.
Those are pretty cool.
So I have a question for you. Where would you like to see us put another goat in?
They're in the afterlife.
Oh my gosh, we could be headed for some serious strife.
Callan's
That's a song lyric. It may be a little obscure. Sorry. I'm gonna jump back in, and I'm gonna ask Mick another question. And this one is actually from Scald as well, and I love it. What was it like seeing Talon in the snow globe through someone else's eyes?
Well, for Mick, it was pretty wild, exciting, and crazy, and like, what the heck is Scott gonna do with my character here? But I really couldn't let that come through because Oliver really doesn't know anything about Callan, except for you guys. When you talk about him, you make him sound like he's the craziest person in the world. And you know, Oliver already thinks you guys are extremely crazy.
That is fair.
You think we're bad? Wait till you meet Callan.
I am super excited for the day, Mick, that you have to role play yourself meeting yourself. It's coming. It's coming. And I'm super excited to see how Oliver receives Callan and how Callan receives Oliver, actually. Because Callan is
well, I think Scott took like, one of the things we discussed with the character of Callan is like, I like these hero story arcs where the character ends up either literally or figuratively fighting a version of themselves as one of their biggest battles. And, you know, it looks like that's what's exactly going to happen. But,
oh my gosh.
Or, I mean, it already really has, I guess, but we'll see where that goes too.
Callan's going to show up all in black with a black glove. Release my friends.
Like it.
It's exciting. You know, I don't have any expectations for what will happen, but I'm excited for it. So,
good.
And Oliver, he's I don't know.
He's not sure how he feels about it.
Yeah, and I have to be kind of true to that because Callan's a stranger. He's never met him. So,
right, and he must have formed such a wild opinion about this person that he's never met.
This guy, he calls himself the fool? Really? That's.
I think they'd get along though. I think they'd get along.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. I have a fun round robin that I actually wanted to do. So this one is for everyone. I'll go around. I want either a word or a one-sentence answer for each of these questions or phrases.
Okay.
Just first response. So we'll just, for order, we'll do Chris, Catherine, Mick.
Okay.
Okay. First one. Deadwoods.
Creepy.
Terrifyingly interesting.
Amika's.
Little girl.
Maiden.
Safe.
Jesus.
Mystery.
Technical difficulties.
Apparently. We'll wait a second. Check the chat. Yeah. Oh, perfect. 120 characters or less. Yeah. It's a tweet that your responses can be cut down to a tweet. You know?
Perfect.
All right. We'll just keep going. Almost all of them need all of you, though. I'm going to be honest. Oh, he's back. He's back. All right. Next one.
I'm just going to respond in emojis.
Perfect. Murder.
Sad.
Same.
Failure.
Ooh.
Rod.
Immovable.
Effing amazing.
Stabs and wands. First edition saving throws. I don't know.
Swanky dangles.
Rated M.
Oh yeah, you read Juniper read that a lot.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Yes. Mister.
Nice guy.
Intriguing.
Very cool.
Baby beholder Werteresk.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Okay, that's the yeah.
Oh, the emoji.
That's the emoji, yes.
Agenor.
Jerk.
Torn.
Yeah, about the same.
That wasn't Viet's
I think you can be safe.
response.
Dragons.
Liars.
You're going down.
Real and timber.
The fool.
Hanged.
Failure.
Divide by 0.
And then my last one. Down with dragons.
Complicated.
Home.
Oh.
I love that it has ambiguous meaning and it's perfect for this campaign.
I like all those answers.
You know you're taking notes to use against this later.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
Scott, I've got at least one more question from Scald for you. Not in the. This was something he shared before. So approximately how many voices are in your head, and how do you hear the whispers from subtle storylines?
It's such a loaded. Okay. How
What's your
many
motivation?
voices-
This is the typical writer, right? Where do you get your
No, I get.
inspiration? I think I could be
Okay.
wrong.
Maybe. I'm gonna start off answering verbatim, which is how many voices are in my head. I don't know because, like, when I start to think about the game and try to, like, plan and write and all that, and maybe this says something about my mental health. There are literally, like, I don't know. And it's like a literal, which is why I have to, like, I listen to music very loudly while I write. It's not a distraction. It is literally a drowning out extra influences in my own head. A lot, because every time I make a character, even if they're like, I'm gonna one day play this character because I'm a forever DM and I have a great player character, like, they get their own little room in this house. So a lot, but the ones that I would say, like, how many are important voices in my head? It's 5. It's turned into the Blackstone that is performed by Chris. It is Maelstrom. She's an important voice. It is Sealy, above all. She is my in this campaign, she is my North Star. Chaotic as that is. It is Zazozan, because he is the bad guy who has a reason in his own mind, and he's the hero of his story. And then the last voice is Dagnar, which we haven't seen much of in a long time, but, like, he is one of those voices that is quietly in the background telling his side of his story that is tied to the bad guy. Those are the main ones. Those are the main ones who kind of are always in the forefront. And then the second part of that question, which was
the how do you hear the whispers from subtle storylines?
That has, thankfully, I have been smart enough to listen to my players, because those are the important whispers. It's when my players are showing me what is important to their characters. Sometimes it is a simple moment that I am thankfully caught onto. I rolled a high enough perception and be like, that's like telltale, like, he will not forget this. And then there's other times where I'm so involved in the story and the game that I have a player who brings me aside outside of the game and hits me in the back of the head with a frying pan, being like, hey, this is a thing for me. And those are important too, because there's so many times those voices in my head take a little bit front seat and drive that game for a while, and I forget about my players. I think I've gotten a little better as time's gone on, but still, like, it's a weird balance. And as long as I've played this game and run this game, I love this game. I am not an expert yet. So yeah, hopefully that answers that kind of.
I
Great
nominate
question.
that you've got a 6th character voice that is important, and we haven't seen recently, but has shaped a lot of what we've done. And that's one of the dragons, one of the 6 original dragons. Sorva's voice, Sorva's story, Sorva's perspective has shaped since we picked up that mirror, since she gave us that mirror. We don't know who to trust.
Saying that, I'll be like thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is a book that is being read by Sorva. All of those are the main characters that are having the most voices, but Sorva's reading it. Like, that's a good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. She's there too.
She's the
because she's
narrator.
always right behind the next page.
Interesting. Great question, Scald. Great
Yeah.
question.
Very good. Like yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to put into words your own insanity. Come on.
That was the end of the questions I had prepared. Does anybody have questions still on their list?
I think the big question. Oh, you got one, Scott? Okay.
I mean, I do. They're more like group questions.
Wait.
So with everything with where you're at in the game currently, and maybe these are, self-indulgent questions, but do you trust Mr.? And due to the fact that whether or not it was planned or life happened, are you still 100% sure that Maven isn't Mr.?
Viet trusts Mister. Viet has never, right? He's dangerous, certainly dangerous, but Viet has never had cause to distrust Mister. And I think Mister, right? Mostly because Mister's way smarter than Viet, and Viet knows how to handle Viet. And so, like, it's not going to come up. Like, if he has to put Viet down, Viet won't even know that it was Mister that did it. Like, this is not.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing, right? And Mister does not seem to be vindictive towards people. Clearly, he's had some sort of vindictiveness towards dragons. There's something simmering there, I think. But right, he would quietly take, Viet would be out behind the shed and get the hammer to the head and would be out and wouldn't even know it. So Viet totally trusts Mister. It hasn't even occurred to Viet that Maven may or may not be Mister. Because Mister said, I can't go in there. So clearly Mister's still outside.
How about Chris?
Chris?
Eh.
I think he's something dark. He does not seem to be he doesn't seem to be trying to become a god or anything like that. He's not unnecessarily threatening. He has a reason. So,
yep.
I guess that's where it's at. Is that I haven't really thought of it one way or the other. He seems to have his own agenda, but it's not conflicting with anything that any of either Blackstaff or Viet are at this point. So yes, at this point, no reason not to trust Mister to be who he is, who he's professed to be.
Camp. She recognizes the need to trust Mister because she's not like none of the people in this party, save maybe Holliver. Holliver probably has some experience getting into places that he probably shouldn't be. She doesn't think of Viet as having that experience.
He's got the experience, but he doesn't know what to. He doesn't.
Right.
Like, he can't plan it, so it's
right.
ineffective experience.
He just she's not good at this. They wouldn't be as far as they are without Mister, and she knows that they need to be this far. Like they have to do this. So yeah, she trusts, I guess, as far as that is, and she's trying not to think about anything else but the task at hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Holliver doesn't have as much experience with Mister.
Other than the deal.
Yeah, other than the deal, he doesn't have any of that other backstory experience. So we just kind of ran into Mister as a matter of course. We needed his expertise. I don't think Holliver trusts him implicitly, no. But that's just, you're dealing with a mercenary, basically. You can't trust him. So there's always got to be the, okay, fun to hang out with, be ready to kill him.
That arm's length type of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, the thought hasn't crossed June's mind that he might be Maven. That's Maven.
Yeah.
What is everyone's thought with Zash being in the state he kind of left us last episode, which was all we are is dust in the wind.
He was whole again. Maybe a little extra. We're not sure yet.
I'm wondering if he's been rebooted, but
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really get a chance to explore that because we sort of left right after he was reformed.
Mm-hmm.
So neither me or June have really had any time to think about that.
Fair. I'm just curious.
Mhm.
And then the last question I had for the group was, what is the group's feelings, thoughts on seeing Sealy again? Do we think we're going to? Is like just, and whether it wants to be a prediction or just in general, Sealy, you know?
Kind of seems like Silly has thrown her fragmented self out into the universe and in at strategic points. So
Mhm.
very real possibility that we will see her again, even though, you know, she's probably said like 50 times now, this is the last time.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like a constellation. Now she's dispersed into the universe through her own purpose, for her own purpose and our needs and stuff. But that's why I feel like we'll see her again. But as character, as a player, we always got to be ready for, oh, well, Silly might not be the backup all the time again.
I'll be honest, like just hearing that, what would her constellation look like? I mean,
constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
One star would be
yeah.
like stars would be like it'd be variations on the constellation, and it'd have to be after hundreds and hundreds of years when people put no, this is the constellation. No, this is where you kind of start piecing together over the decades that here's the whole thing, but she's never one whole constellation at any one given time.
Because there's like
That's
one
my
star
thought.
there's one star that's always the same, and the others sort of
The guiding star, the North Star, and all the rest of the stars around it, inexplicably are all slightly different. But then you put it together and it's her face or something.
I love that.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
Viet is constantly right. Viet being Viet, right? She could dance in and out of their lives at any moment, and you wouldn't be phased. That's what he's come to expect. If she's there, she's there. If she's not, she's not. Anytime he sees her, it's kind of a joy. So
I think June hopes that they'll see her again. I mean, we'll see her again whenever we step foot on that ship, because that is her. And that's, thank you for that present, because even if we can't see Sealy in the flesh, again, we still have that. Like we have those little interactions through the
Don't
crew
worry,
of the
that
ship.
was not a selfless present. That was a selfish present, so that I could always come back to Sealy.
Thank you for it either way.
Not you.
It's a joy every time we get to see her. I hope that we see her again. It's different every time because we're meeting her on different stages of her path. But she always, there's that thread of familiarity with her, and she always sort of brings the party back. Like we all sort of, and the players too, we all just sort of feel good when Sealy's there, when we get to see her. I hope we do.
So we at Dice Overload.
We are at, I want to discuss favorite moments. Favorite moments in this, like, and it's a huge arc, right? So let's start with Mick. Mick, what has been your favorite moment within this like second season arc?
Okay, just this weird out of nowhere vampire thing that we dealt with. And then, to top that all off, Maven just says, "Okay, I'm make
I'll
me a
do it."
vampire." This is
This is happening.
yeah. This is obviously why we're here. Do it, buddy. Let's go.
I remember having conversations after that game had ended and Maven was a vampire now. We were like, how are we going to do this?
We're in the middle of the desert.
Uh-huh. Yeah, blazing sun.
And her rolls were amazing on that birthing chart for a vampire where it's like, holy crap, she's a daywalker. Holy crap. Like, there's no better role in where you're at.
That was truly a magnificent moment.
That was a blast.
That's a good moment.
Man. And then for it to almost immediately just not be a thing anymore.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God. Oh, she has like permanent sunscreen. She's a little aggressive here and there, but like.
And my favorite part about that actual moment is we are presuming that Maven was healed by the maiden by setting foot inside that temple.
Mm-hmm.
But if I know Scott, that's gonna come back to bite us in the butt. At some
Why
point.
would you say that?
Look at his
You
face
think
right
I'm
now.
a
And tell me.
vindictive, plotting, conniving DM.
These thoughts have not crossed June's mind. Maven's just back now, and it's fine. Everything's fine. Chris, what was your favorite moment? What's the good one?
So I got two different phases of this. Really, right, the gestalt of how much Viet has just been shaped by all the people around him. Right, from the positivity of Manny and the dangerous apathy of Fenris to June's "we're stronger together" to Holliver's courage in fighting Zazazan and bringing Viet back from the dead with his bargain with Sentry, and Maven's dark relationship with the rat husband and with the vampire. Both of these, right? To Dancing Woman's idiosyncrasies, right? All of these have given so many rich opportunities for me to lean into with Viet. So it's really shaped the character in ways that I could never have imagined. But so thank you all, right? I've really enjoyed that. Overall, a moment, like a moment in time, again, goes to Killian and Scott. Killian, right? Maven saying goodbye to Daruk. From early, right? Well, not that early, right? We were well into it. It was a couple months into the thing. Like, just heartbreaking. She did such an amazing job with that. Scott, you did an amazing job setting up, but just for her to lean into it, like,
Thank you for her job giving her a stressful week leading up to that because she was ready to feel things.
It was, I think I've never seen anything like that, and probably, I don't know, right? We may see things like that again, but that was unique. So,
yep, I agree.
It's good TV.
Good TV.
Good Twitch. It was good Twitch.
Good Twitch.
DM Scott, what was your favorite moment?
So I obviously am biased, just like everybody's kind of hinted at. From everything from the sinking temple and the sprouting of wings to the immovable rod, the little girl on a swing, or just in the forest, or like all of it. It's all magical to me and it's all amazing and I love every second of it. But the part that I will say is probably my favorite, and it's longer than just the name that I call it and that the name we've all called it, is the dancing woman, the dancing girl, the the whole hideaway from Dragonlock under the stars, and immediately preceding that was somebody who's temporally fractured sitting around a table looking at all the people who aren't going to be there as well as who are, and having that moment. And I feel it every single time I rethink about it, of just like, not everyone's going to be here. And then the whole just divine moment under the stars of being the dancing woman. You know, it's just like, that is my favorite takeaway from this entire season, because it is what gave Sealy her name that isn't her name anymore.
It was a nice setup, Mick, and yeah, and then right again, people feeding into each other. It was
Yep, and it was just perfect and beautiful, and that is my favorite moment probably of the entire game so far, of just that.
I should have let you go last.
Yeah. Beat that.
So mine, I guess, is a little selfish too. My favorite moment has been being able to actually join the party and join this game. Because when you started out and you guys, I watched the whole first arc, the whole thing there, and just like feeling kind of a part of it, but also not being a part of it. But then being able to come in and just spend my Fridays with you guys has been the most amazing, fun thing that I get to do, and I look forward to Fridays now just because it's the weekend. I look forward to coming home on Fridays and then hopping online and getting to play this amazing game that we all get to shape with these amazing role players and this amazing DM, and it's been just such a great experience. And yeah, okay, so it's selfish, but I'm glad I got to be a part of it, because it's truly something that is a joy in my life, and I love it very much. So that's my favorite part about the game.
Oh, I mean, you're just begging for inspiration. That's all that was. No, I agree.
It was a very cool, right?
Side of that.
Setting this up tonight, right? The Down with Dragons, the discussion, right, with Dice Overlord Catherine, right, calling back to way when you first started being online with Scott, kind of debriefing. And right, we all loved talking to you. You had fantastic insights into what was going on and great questions and a passion for it. And I think, right, we've all loved having you with too, Catherine. It's been an amazing addition and bringing in that journey and just a new perspective and new view and new fire into the team too. It's been a lot of fun. So.
I rolled a high constitution. What are you talking about? So let's bring this back down, because we do have a question, and obviously it's from Scald. It was asked twice, so I know it's serious. All right, everybody, one by one. Favorite Swanky Dangles novel title or reference?
Swanky Dangles and the Amazon. What was it? Warriors or something? I can't remember what exactly it was, but it stuck in my head.
The Amazonians Whispering Eye.
Yeah.
Secret of the Amazonians Whispering Eye. Yeah.
That actually is my favorite too. Mostly because it's the one I've read the most.
I think mine would have to be on this. I hope that we can is there a way we can mine all the titles that we've thrown out there and Scald has thrown out there? That would be awesome. I would write them all down, and I would honestly try to write all of those books. But my favorite was kind of I don't know if anyone noticed it, but it was back in the Sandcrest episodes with playing Sir Palmhead Maple Court, and he mentioned, or someone mentioned one of the books, and it was had to do with the star priestess or something like that.
Oh,
Okay.
And it was like a subtle dig that he kind of had either like a little protective feelings for or amorous feelings for Illison, Maven's daughter. So I was proud of myself there, and that's the one maybe I'm imagining writing the most, but
To be fair, how could you not have a crush on Illison?
right.
She's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Maven did
But
not raise a pretty
there-
amazing daughter.
Yeah. And there have been some awesome Swanky Dangles title suggestions in the chat.
I guess.
I just wish I would have wrote them all down.
I think we'd have to go back and like watch the chat and write every time someone says something. Oh my gosh.
I'll do
I
it.
do have one that I have not revealed. And this says a lot about my sense of humor and what I have I don't know, forced on or cursed on to my children. But my 15-year-old daughter gave me a title.
Oh my.
Swanky Dangles and the Escape from the Red Tide.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. On
But-
that note,
My 15-year-old daughter gave me that, and how proud I was that she just still kind of dialed into that sense of humor. I was like, horrible, but I love it.
And listen, Scott, Swanky Dangles novels, they can get a little risque sometimes. but
yeah.
I kind of loved how when we were going through these little dens of vice and the 7 deadly sins and stuff, I loved how you kept trying to twist it like it was our fault that we were going blue and getting vulgar.
we still don't know what happened with Juniper and Dash in the gym.
They were
over
just a
there.
bunch of gym rats.
Mhm.
What are you
It's
talking
a
about?
lot of flesh.
Yeah.
A lot of flesh. I thank you for recognizing my sin. Because the best job I could do with that topic is make you look like you were the sinners.
Uh-huh.
you people are
Otherwise, I'm
depraved.
the horrible person. It's like, what's wrong with you? Who's talking about that?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Guys, it has been a pleasure
Mhm.
to talk with you all tonight. This has been really fun, actually.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back into the game. Is it this week? 21st?
I mean, I'm ready for it.
I'm ready.
Next Thursday, the 13th, we'll be doing a one-shot. Killing will be out again next Friday. So Thursday, the 13th, we'll be doing a one-shot. We'll see who's all able to make it.
Will we also re-air it on Friday? But just curious.
I gotta look and see what's going on and whether or not
Okay.
I can do that.
That's fair. That's fair. I was sorry.
Yep.
That's the thing I should have
You're
asked
just
a long
gonna have
time
to
ago.
get your notifications
Yeah,
when we're live.
follow us on
so-
Facebook, Twitter, all those
Yes.
places. You'll
Send us
find out if you pay
inspiration.
attention.
Yeah, heck yes.
And
Thank
then
you,
back to
guys.
regular session the 21st.
Perfect. Thank you guys for being here tonight and discussing some stuff. I love getting peeks into your guys' headspaces. And thank you, Scald, for being here and throwing us questions and always being just awesome in the chat. You guys have a great evening.
Hold on.
I'm out.
Wait, what?
So I did have one last secret envelope question.
Oh,
Bonus.
how dare you?
So with how much time Callan has obviously been on the other side, if you think of the time dilation between real world to the afterlife, the lack of communication back and forth, we know things are happening. We know that he is heading towards one of the dragons in the distance in the afterlife. Has anyone thought of the implications of how much time has passed on his side of things? That is Talon even going to be a person worth bringing back if the opportunity arose?
June absolutely has.
Viet hasn't thought about that. He just knows that he's supposed to go back there whenever the opportunity to help appears. He needs to help no matter what. So that's what he took away from that the future discussion.
Oliver would be probably follow the lead of the rest of the party, because the appraisal of Callan, he's stitched together from everything they said. He sounds nuts, but they trust him, obviously. And for Mick,
yeah, because I did want to know your individual thoughts too.
Yeah, so he's in the underworld. Stuff is happening. This is a like a mythological trope. There's no way you go into the underworld and come back unchanged.
Yeah.
And you have gone through basically a humiliation that breaks you down. You've gone through alchemy, basically. You've been burnt down to the blackest of ashes, and you're being rebuilt back up again if you make it out at all. And that's how those stories, that's how they work. Callan is going to be different when he comes back.
And then he'll get killed and she'll thaw out a new clothes.
Yeah. There's always a redo button for him now.
Catherine, you look like your brain was, yeah.
Yeah, Juniper has been sending him communications whenever she can. They haven't really had a lot of restful time.
I get that. I get that.
But it is that is something that has been at the forefront of her mind, having been there. And having been there for a length of time, not as long as Callan has. But knowing what that did to her mentally.
Yeah, because
and emotionally,
at this point, he's been there for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Because 3 days for Juniper being dead, whether she doesn't remember most of it, but was like about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a whole lot longer than 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
I love that June's been sending stuff and worrying about him, but not necessarily telling the rest of the crew, because we're incapable of really wrapping our heads around that. So that's a interesting, right? In her caretaker mode, like she's really worried, but she's not going to.
Yeah.
What can we do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're going as fast as they can, really.
But it's not fast enough
It's
for
not
the other
fast
side.
enough. No.
So
we will see.
I just wanted to get that into everyone's head again
Good
before
one.
we.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. Now I'm not worried at all. All right.
Alchemy. I like that answer, Mick. Alchemy.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
That's
I like
perfect. Lead into gold. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for discussing everything. Awesome questions, awesome insights. We'll see you later.
that. Great week.